Sully, I've always got my A game. Sometimes it may be like I might throw a curveball in there like you do, but I got my A game, so we're all set.
I got to work on my curve. I haven't thrown you for a loop in a while.
No, but I'm sure that won't take very much longer for you to do.
Yeah, we're only the first week of the season here, so we'll get it going. What's up, man? Exciting weekend, man. Week 1 is in the books for the most part. We got a couple Saturday games coming up, but what were your impressions of last night? Some thrilling games. Timber Creek, Delsea, Cherokee, Shawnee. Some games that really came down to the wire.
Yeah, you look at the schedule last night, and it's they're like we've talked about in any sport really. There's going to be times where the schedule is going to be like loaded, and you wish you could be at like 3 or 4 places at once, and then there's going to be nights where, okay, well, it's not as good. But last night was a perfect example of a night in South Jersey high school football where you really wish you could have been in 3 or 4 or 5 different places at one time. And like you mentioned, some of them games, Timber Creek, Delsea. I don't know whether Timber Creek wins that game by 3. Delsea misses a field goal to tie it in the closing seconds, hits the upright. I don't know whether we've underestimated Delsea a little bit or we've overestimated Timber Creek to a degree. You got a game like Shawnee Cherokee, and Cherokee hadn't beaten them, I think, since 2013. They win at home on an overtime victory, and then the game that we were at, the game of the week with Woodrow Wilson and Highland, and Highland takes advantage of a turnover, and on the first possession of the game, scores a touchdown on its second play, 7-0, crowd's in a frenzy, and you're thinking, oh boy, okay. And then Wilson kind of settles in, comes back, runs off 26 unanswered points. You think, all right, well, at this point, well, maybe they put the game away, but it's only the first half, and Wilson went through some cramps, some injuries, penalties, really kind of maybe shot themselves in the foot, and next thing you know, fourth quarter, Highland's right back in the game and brings it down. They have possession of the ball with a little less than a minute left with a chance to tie and go ahead. So, a very entertaining first weekend. I don't think I don't even know if everybody thought it was going to be as entertaining a first night as it turned out to be, but a great start nevertheless for South Jersey high school football.
Yeah, I think, Kevin, this is going to be a really cool season and fun to watch. I don't know that anybody's really head and shoulders above anybody else, except for Timber Creek. I mean, I think they're going to straighten things out and really go on a roll here. But a lot of stuff really wide open when you talk about teams out in your way in the Cherry Hill area, even down here at the shore, Southern Ocean County. We saw Southern with a huge win over Toms River North. So definitely not the season it was a year ago.
I think, you look at the preseason rankings as an example, and, we come into the season with expectations of certain teams, and, we still got to play the games, and maybe first night jitters for some teams, maybe not. But, I think, for the most part, teams kind of took care of business that we thought. And teams like Millville went out and really put together a nice win. And Vineland was in a little bit of a rough game with Bridgeton for a while before they pulled it out in the fourth quarter. So I think we're going to see a lot of entertaining football, and we're going to see teams up and down the region that maybe we underestimate them a little bit in the grand scheme because of the the number of losses they end up putting together. But I think competitive football is out there, and obviously it's a great time for South Jersey fans to jump on board.
Yeah, a couple teams that we may have underestimated a little bit, or fans in general, Hamilton and Williamstown both got wins last night. What do you expect out of these teams going forward?
They're both two teams that last year, I want to say probably struggled given their tradition, given their recent past history. You look at a team like Hamilton, I believe last year was 5-5. 5-5 in Hamilton usually doesn't cut it. But, there are going to be times and there are going to be parts in the cycle of high school sports where, a graduating class is pulls out and then the new guys come in and have to kind of learn things. But, those two teams in particular, I think, are going to be a little bit more improved this season. Obviously, both in the American division will have, a pretty tough schedule to face, during the course of the year. But I think they're going to be improved teams. And you look at a team like Williamstown, 3-7 last year. I believe 4 of the losses were a touchdown or less. So, a break here or there, and maybe they're looking at 7 wins instead of just 3. So, they pull out a close one last night at Kingsway. I believe it was 17-13. But, in particular, those 2 teams I think are going to be a little bit better this year. Kingsway's in Mark Hendrick's second year. Haddonfield's, I believe, in Jim Rasso's. I think this is his 3rd year, if memory serves me correct. So, 3rd or 4th season. So, it's a cycle for some teams, and expectations are always high for certain programs based on their history. And those 2 teams right there are definitely 2 teams I think that will be improved this season.
Kevin, one team I got my eye on, I think these guys are a little bit salty as to how the last couple seasons turned out in the playoffs. Haddonfield got off to a 38-6 win over Collingswood. I would expect them to be a South Jersey Group 2 title contender.
Yeah, I think Haddonfield is a team that, based on its history in the last, I want to say maybe in the last decade or so, especially in the recent past. But Frank Delano does a great job over there, and Haddonfield is an interesting team this year in that they're going to play every game on the road. Their home games are going to be on Saturday afternoons at Cherry Hill West because the bleachers at their stadium are undergoing refurbishing, reconstruction. And
okay.
If you know anything about Haddonfield, a very an old school in the middle of town, and bleachers only on one side. Concrete bleachers that go up and up only on one side of the field. So, I guess obviously from a safety standpoint, and from just basically people wanting to come to a game, they cannot play at their home field this year. So they'll shift over to Cherry Hill West, which is practically right down the street for them as it is. So. But the Haddonfield's a team that, year in and year out recently has done a real nice job in Group 2, always competitive, always in the mix. And, they lost a couple key guys. Brandon Gilmartin was their quarterback last year, defensive end, who really did a nice job for them, kind of was the leader of that team. But, they'll have guys that they're another program that, raises the kids through the ranks, starting in the midget program. And generally they stay in town. And when it comes down to Friday nights and Saturday mornings and afternoons, they're a very competitive team. So I don't expect anything less, and I would expect Haddonfield to be in the mix in Group 2 year in and year out.
Kevin, what do you think of a team like Cinnaminson? They got a nice 21-13 win over Willingboro, which was basically one play away from appearing in the South Jersey Group 2 championship when they lost to Cedar Creek in the semis last year. So real nice win for Cinnaminson.
Yeah, that was another interesting opener because Willingboro. I think a lot of people think very highly of Willingboro coming into this season based on what they did last year. Memory serves me correct again. I believe they won their first round playoff game last year, Willingboro, and have kind of been taking some steps in a positive direction under Steve Everett. And that for Cinnaminson to win that game is a very good starting point for them. They lost a very explosive and key two-way player in Sean Davila. But they have, I think, a pretty balanced. I think, no real superstars, I think, on this year's team. I think if anybody, if there is anybody on the team, they're probably going to look at their running back, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. That's how bad I'm getting right now. But they're a team that you have to kind of figure into the mix a little bit. I don't think a lot of people know a lot about Cinnaminson. People tend to want to lean towards more traditional teams that have found a way to get to finals and semifinals year after year in Group 2, like a Haddonfield, like a West Deptford. But Cinnaminson's going to be a team that, obviously is taking a step in the right direction, winning that opener. It's going to help them as far as their division's concerned. And, Mario Patrizzi does a real nice job.
Talk with Kevin Minnick of SJVarsity.com. Kevin, how about a team like Woodrow Wilson? I remember my days in high school in the late 80s, Lacey Township, we played them 2 years in a row for the state title. And one of those programs that way back when was really strong. I'm not too familiar with their recent history, but always seems to me like they have a pretty good program. And they got a nice win over Highland last night, 26-20. Yeah,
Wilson is one of them programs that if you go back through its history, was always extremely tough. Produces a Heisman Trophy winner in Mike Rozier. They've struggled in recent years, and Preston Brown took over 3 years ago now, and has kind of really brought a bit of a culture change to that program, and really has done a nice job of getting these kids on board. And just watching them last night, they they are going to be a team that is going to compete for a sectional title. And they're a team that's going to be, I think, when all is said and done, you're looking at possibly a top 5 team, and they may be a top 5 team right now. They came out last night, coughed the ball up on their first possession. Highland goes in, scores a touchdown, but pretty much, they didn't do anything on the next time they got the ball. But after that, they ran off 26 straight points. And Nick Cargman is a junior quarterback for them this year, a transfer from Pittman, and when he settled in last night, he throws a really nice football, and he threw a handful of nice slants, timing patterns. And then he showed his ability to put the ball, up in the air for some distance. And Wilson's got some receivers, and they're going to go after. They're going to go get the ball because they've got some size and strength and speed. And Wilson's always been very good defensively. Their problem has always been putting points on the board. They've had times where they've gotten the red zone and penalties have killed them, or they've turned the ball over. And they've been inconsistent at the quarterback position. In the first 2 years, Preston Brown has been there. But, Nick Cargman right now, I think it's fair to say he's probably the top junior quarterback in South Jersey. I think he's going to open up a lot of eyes if you haven't seen him already. There are not going to be many kids in South Jersey better than him. I think Devin Leary still sets the bar and is the standard for quarterbacks this particular season. But Nick Cargman is one definitely to keep an eye on. And if he continues to grow and get more and more familiar with the guys around him and the offense, Wilson's going to be a terribly dangerous team come the playoffs.
If you're just joining us, first question is why you should be listening from 8 a.m. on. But if you are just joining us, we're talking with Kevin Minnick of SJVarsity.com. Kevin, you're about a week in with your venture here. Any problems with the boss so far?
No problems with the boss. SJ Varsity, if people take a look at it, I think they're going to be happy with what they see. I've tried to dip into all the sports in South Jersey. We're kind of taking it slowly right now. Some quote unquote baby steps, but I think it's the place to go to. I'm not going to cast things to the side. I'm going to try to hit every sport in some way, fashion, and obviously football is kind of king in South Jersey right now, and it gets a lot of attention. But I'm going to hit some other sports. We've seen some soccer games. We're going to go out and we're going to look for a question and answer. We're going to look for features from other sports and hockey, field hockey, and tennis and the such, and really try to build it into a site where people can come and get various types of information. And we're going to go behind a paywall probably sometime Sunday night. People will be able to get very limited information, but if they subscribe, they're going to get a lot of things on the inside of this website that they may not get in other places. They're going to have it all at their fingertips with easy access, not only on their desktop but certainly on the mobile. And we want to make it the source for South Jersey high school sports. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And we just hope that the people in South Jersey who have followed me for 15 years at the Courier and basically 30 years in South Jersey high school sports continue to do so and subscribe to the website. You're looking at 11 cents a day, and I think 11 cents a day is a bargain for what the amount of material that will be there. That's 2 Tootsie Rolls, man. There you go. That's pretty cheap. There you go. I mean, 11 cents. That's I can't get it any cheaper. That's 2 sticks of Bazooka Joe. There you go. There you go. So what's been the response of your fan base? You kind of have your own little fan base because you've been around for so long and all those years you've been covering high school sports. Have you gotten a good response from people and people that have been following you? Absolutely. The response has been very positive from the very start. When I came, I started discussing the idea, and I discussed the idea with a lot of people, and I never really told them like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. But everybody was always on board and thought it was a great idea that to go out on this type of venture, and we need that. I need that continued support to make this thing successful. And I think the people that have followed me on Twitter, the people that follow on Facebook, those that know me and know what I've done over the years and my reputation for hard work and dedication to South Jersey high school sports, should jump on board. And like I've told other people, people. Somebody told me it was a bad marketing slogan, but I've said people have spent a lot more money and gotten far less. And while this is not my marketing slogan, I think for $39.95 for a year, and like I said, 11 cents a day, less than $1 a week, we're looking like 60, 70 cents a week. I'm willing to put in the time and effort to give people the types of information that they're used to, and a place and an opportunity to get it all at their fingertips in one spot. So, we're gonna continue to see this thing grow. We're going to continue to take steps day by day and week by week. We're almost like a high school football team in that we're not going to look too far ahead. We're going to focus on what's in front of us that day, what's in front of us, what we need to prepare for that day in order to get better by the end of the week. So look at it that way. I think people should. It's clearly something they should take a look at. And like I said, 11 cents a day, you can't beat that.
Good stuff, Kevin. As always, we're interested to see how it develops down the road, and we appreciate you coming on board every week. And we expect nothing less than your A game every Saturday.
Sully, I will bring my A game every Saturday, no matter what time I come on or how long I'm on. You can bank on that every week. Awesome,
man. We got to let you go. We got to get on to your boy Tribble.
There you go. We're off to Woodbury to catch the Paulsboro Woodbury game. So have a good day, and like I said, thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Good stuff, man. I'll be out at Cedar Creek. We appreciate it, Kev.
Thanks again.
That was Kevin Minnick, SJVarsity.com. Check it out, his new website.